Hey, it's Will Ripley here. In this video, I want to share with you my top 5 blues guitar soloing tips that will help you play your best blues guitar solo ever. The jam track that we're going to be using today is done in the style of Red House by Jimi Hendrix, one of my favorite blues songs and one of my favorite blues guitarists. But we're going to be talking about all kinds of blues legends and all kinds of stuff that will help you and your blues guitar soloing. So this Red House style backing track is in the key of B, and it doesn't hurt to just get warmed up and oriented with the B minor pentatonic scale. So that's going to look like this right here. So we've got our pentatonic scale starting off the 7th fret. May as well just go ahead and warm up on this guy. Just play it as fast or as slow as you need to just get this little pattern under your fingers. Now obviously that's a big bunch of notes and technically they all sound good inside that key. But what I want to bring your attention to with blues tip number 1 here is these 4 notes on the D string and G string. So we're looking at D and the G. Now what I'm going to do here in a minute is execute an entire blues guitar solo only using those 4 notes, but what I'm going to be doing is using lead guitar techniques. So bends, hammer-ons, pull-offs, slides, vibrato, things of that nature. Now all you need is those 4 notes. So I'm going to apply those lead guitar techniques, but also I'm going to apply a very important blues strategy called phrasing. So I'm going to leave a lot of space in between the notes, but I'm going to find melodies and phrases using those lead guitar techniques, but only using those 4 notes. So let's put this to work against the jam track. Blues tip number 1 in a nutshell, instead of using all of the available notes all over the fretboard, reduce the amount of notes that you have access to, but focus on those 2 things, lead guitar techniques and your phrasing. All right, so as you can see from that first tip, those 4 notes are insanely powerful. And just imagine being able to play those same 4 powerful notes in different areas of the guitar. So let me show you here on blues tip number 2 how to unlock up to 5 different ways to play those same 4 powerful notes. And there's some really easy ways to figure this out. So just like we oriented ourselves at the beginning of the lesson with this B minor pentatonic scale, and as you know, we found those 4 notes right there. Well, if you play a B minor pentatonic scale starting from your A string, what you need to do is find a B note on your A string. So, of course, it's the 2nd fret. And the shape looks a little bit different here, but we're just going to play these same notes right here off the 2nd fret of the A. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. And watch your fingering there on the B string. Use your pinky and your 2nd finger. So maybe you want to pause the video, just get that shape down. Because what we're going to find is these same notes, but just like we moved the whole scale down by 1 string, well, we're going to find those 4 notes right here on the G on the 2nd fret and the 4th fret and the B string on the 3rd fret and the 5th fret. So that I could just press play on that jam track and just do a bunch of those licks and play an entire blues solo with those 4. And what's really cool about this is that you'll find a completely different zone of expression with these 4 notes. Even though they're the exact same, but because they're on different strings in a different place on the neck, it just has a completely different tone and feel and artistic expression, okay? So just a quick little rip for you on that little zone. It might sound and look like this. Okay, so I could just sit on those 4 notes all day long and find all kinds of different phrasing and, of course, as mentioned, lead guitar techniques that you can apply. Now, let's continue this idea of finding these same 4 notes in other zones on the guitar. So one of the greatest things that you can instantly do is by playing these shapes in octaves. So if we grab those same 4 notes and bump those up by 12 frets, which of course would have you repeating them. So if we go up to the 14th fret and right here on the 14 and 16 on the G and 15 and 17, so same 4 notes, completely new level of expression, okay? So going back to our first position, minor pentatonic, where we found these 4 notes, well, we can do the exact same thing. It is going to get pretty darn high, and this works a little bit better in different keys, but there's nothing wrong with playing way up here. I'm going to be on the 19th fret and the 21st fret and the 19th fret and the 21st fret. So So far we have 4 zones. We've got this guy. We play that an entire octave up, 12 frets higher. That's 2 zones. And we found, this was our first one, on the D and G strings. And so you could just sit on each one of those zones and just solo your ass off and really work on each one of these different zones on the guitar. All right, so I've saved the best for last here. This 5th shape is gonna be played up on the 10th and 12th frets of the top 2 strings. And just like the other 4 shapes I've shown you, this is the exact same 4 notes, and it will offer you a whole bunch of blues expression right in this tiny little zone. Now, this shape will also show us something really impactful, which is this note right here. That is the 12th fret of the B string. And of course, that note is a B note. And what key are we in? We're in the key of B, right? So this section of each one of these 4 notes, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, these 4 notes, this second note of our 4-note sequence is our root note. And what you'll notice is that when you're soloing, it's really nice to come back to that root note, especially over the B chord. So let's just go ahead. I'm going to play a call and response solo using each one of these shapes. So wish me luck. Here we go. So the big takeaway there is memorize those 5 different shapes. Of course, the first one was right out of our minor pentatonic scale. We can play that up an entire octave, which is 12 frets higher. Then we found it out of our minor pentatonic scale off of the A string, and we found those 4 notes right here. And we bumped that up a whole octave. And we found that one, that 5th one, starting from the 10th fret. And this one will show us really clearly where the root note is, that B note. So in each one of those 4 note shapes, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's that 2nd note that will be the B root note in this case. All right, that brings us to blues tip number 3. Now, I'm sure you're noticing when I'm playing some of these licks, I'm playing a lot of bends, and vibrato fits into that category as well. So that's going to be a really big part of any blues guitar playing, is really nailing those bends and vibrato. But the blues tip I want to give you is these micro bends. So if we go back to home base here, we've got these 4 notes, and I just did one right there. That's the first one I want to show you, is on the G string. If you just do a little bend, what we're doing there is we're bending the minor third into the major third, but we're not quite reaching that super happy major note. What we're doing is we're just sneaking it in, just rubbing shoulders with it a little bit. So that way it still has the real brooding type of intense blues sound. And you can see it if you hit it hard with your picking hand and add some dynamics in there. Right, and there's some real solid blues vibrato on that root note. So okay, the other micro bend I wanted to show you is this guy right here up on the G string. So the 4th note of that 4th note sequence. So this guy I really am hitting a lot. It does have this like dissonant, out of tune type of vibe to it, but I'm just like kind of obsessed with it lately. And I wanted to show that to you. So the big one there is like, we've got our flat 5 right here, and then you've got your 5th right here. So both of those are good notes. So you've either got a half step bend or a full step bend. But there's something about this little bend is somewhere in between those 2 notes. Now, so that's the second one, is that weird flat 5 one. It's somewhere between the flat 5 and the 5. So, but yeah, any kind of like little micro bend that you can do on that 4th note of our 4 note sequence, that will get you into some real bluesy territory. And the final one here is, of course, that approach note. So this one is kind of weird because we're sneaking in to this major 7th, which is just so not bluesy, but as you can hear, when you do that little micro bend on that 1st note of our 4 note sequence, it sure does sound super, super bluesy. All right, the next zone that I want to show you on the guitar is one of the hottest places to play some blues guitar soloing, which is known as the BB box. And I'm gonna show it to you in a way that I've never seen it taught before, because I'm gonna sneak in some Albert King licks, another one of my favorite blues guitar players. And what we're gonna do is, just like we found that 12th fret root note, well, that's something that you're gonna wanna keep in mind when you play this shape. So the shape itself looks like this. We're gonna start on the 13th fret of the G string, and we're gonna go 13th fret of that G, 12th fret of the B, 14th fret of the B, and we're gonna do a little chromatic line, which just means 1 fret at a time, 12, 13, 14. And that's the sequence right there. It's a super easy little sequence. So we're gonna go, let's just go down that scale, because it kind of sounds almost more right when you do it that way. And you're probably hearing it really wants to resolve on that 12th fret, because of course that's our root note. So just practice this a couple times with me. One more time. All right, so just like the 4-note solo a minute ago, let's go ahead, put on the jam track. We're just going to play a solid blues guitar solo using this handful of notes just on these 3 strings. Let's go ahead. All right, there's some cool available bends here I wanted to point out. Now the big one that we're hitting is this guy right here on the 14th fret. We're gonna sneak in that minor third. So we're doing a half step bend mostly into that pitch on the 15th fret. So maybe you wanna double check your pitch on the 15th fret and then go down to the 14th fret and just bend into that. And you can also bend that a full step when you're playing a little more uplifting style blues. This is a slow, kind of sad brooding type of blues. So leaning to that minor type of sound is probably more the vibe I would tap into. But yeah, certainly in certain contexts, I would definitely be going really nice, uplifting type of major sound there. The other big one is going to be that full step bend, just like we were just doing on the B string, but on the high E string. And I'm fretting out a little bit here. I got to get this guitar a little tweaked. But the big thing there is the descending part. And that's why I get you to learn that scale just like that. All right, if you wanted to hop into a little bit of Albert King vibes, all you're gonna wanna do is change that 13th fret of the G up to the 14th fret of the G. And we're really gonna lean into that minor third on the 15th fret of the B string. And that would be your access point for some of those big Albert King overbends. So just a couple of lick examples for the Albert King type of vibe. So on the topic of BB, let's bring it to the 5th blues tip for the day. And that's gonna be this little move that you'd always hear BB play. Okay, just like so classic B.B. King. Now all that's happening there is he would go up to the high E string and hit the high octave. So as mentioned before, we were looking at these 4 notes. And of course, on a 21 fret Fender like I'm on, it becomes a little bit hard to hit all of those notes. But on this guy right here, the 19th fret of the high E string, that is a B note. Okay, so anytime you're looking for just that quick little BB sting, we should call it BB King sting, then you're gonna wanna go up to that high E string. And part 2 of this tip is to play with your fingers. Okay, so we're gonna get some Albert Collins type of vibes here and some BB King type of vibes here with that high note. And so BB King would often just do a quick little slide down. It sounds totally great. Anytime you're doing it. And as you can see there, or maybe you could catch that, I was playing this lick with my pick, but I'm reaching out my second finger here to reach up and do that little stinging note. Because a lot of these guys would play with their fingers, and you're gonna see for yourself, when you use your thumb, your fingers, you just are able to snap the strings more. Just has a really different feel to it than playing with your pick, and it can really access some super ultra legitimate blues tones. So the other thing there is to tap into that Albert Collins type of sound. You're gonna wanna get that thick vibrato on that high E string. Just like that. So let's go ahead and put this to work. I'm gonna put the pick down for this one. I'm gonna focus on a couple of those moves. The BB King slide down from that high E string, and also the Albert Collins stinging lick, and just throwing in some licks in the familiar zone that we've talked about here, and all with my fingers. Here we go. Hey, my name's Will Ripley. Check out willripleyguitar.com. I've got all kinds of great blues courses, rock courses. I go live weekly inside of my group, the Rip It Up Club. I really encourage you to check out one of my courses. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, press like. There's lots of action you can take here today on your guitar playing. I've got all kinds of products and services to help you, and I'm gonna be releasing more content just like this. So go ahead, rewind, check this video out some more, leave me a comment. As mentioned, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, buy one of my courses, join the Rip It Up Club where I can support you directly one-to-one with my weekly lessons and live coaching. So I hope to see you take action on something here today. Otherwise, stay tuned for some new YouTube lessons. Keep on ripping it up. Talk to you soon.